Greetings all and welcome to Daily Pali Reading. This episode begins a series of readings from the Dhammapada, probably the most well-known of all the Theravada writings, and that is for good reason. And the Dhammapada is found in the Khuddaka Nikaya, and the first chapter, the first Vagga, is entitled Yamaka, that is, the twins, or the pairs. If you're not familiar with this first chapter of the Dhammapada, it will become apparent why this is so named. We will be looking at only the first line of the first verse today. Mano pubangama dhamma, mano setta, MANOMAYA. Phenomena are preceded by mind, excelled by mind, created by mind. Looking through this line, we might notice the absence of any type of finite verb. So this will tell us right away that we are dealing with a nominal or equational sentence, meaning that we have to understand some form of the verb to be. Armed with that knowledge, we might go looking for some subject. At this point, it may not be real apparent what the subject is. If we glance at just the first word, this mano pubengama, a compound word actually of three words, mano, puba, and gama, that altogether means preceded by mind. That's probably not a subject. That might be describing something. That seems more like an adjective overall. But when we get to the second word, dhamma, which looks to be nominative plural, that is probably a good candidate for our subject. So Dhamma, and outside of Theravada Buddhism, probably better known as Dharma or Dharmas or Dhammas in English, where we might put an S on to signify the plural. Now in the singular, this word can have many, many meanings, and the context, of course, will help us decide what that meaning is. And those meanings can range from the doctrine or the teaching, something that is true. In the plural, it tends to mean phenomena. So our subject, Dhamma, phenomena, understood are, phenomena are, let's go back to our first word again, preceded by mind, meaning that mind precedes the phenomena that we experience. This is not something that is intuitively obvious, and it is certainly a position not upheld by materialism. But certainly I would argue that all schools of Buddhism maintain this in some form, and probably many, many spiritual traditions maintain this. Another way of understanding this is that mind controls or directs phenomena. Now when we jump to the other side of Dhamma, mano setta, this one is a little tricky. A lot of translations handle this as phenomena are ruled by mind. And I think that really comes from the commentary. Setta by itself means excellent or best. And I didn't go too far into the commentary, but I believe it says something to the effect that mind is best because it is the ruler. But I think there's another way to understand this. To be quite honest, I got this from a Thai translation. Now, forgive my Thai pronunciation. Jai Ben Yai. And then understood Gwai Sap Sing. Mind is bigger than all things. And to me, I think the way they have arrived at this translation is to understand setta, best or excellent, in a slightly passive way, excelled by. Phenomena are excelled by mind. This assertion would also be hotly debated by materialists, I imagine. So we now have these two ideas that mind precedes phenomena in time, and we might understand that as saying mind is bigger temporally than phenomena. And we also now have this understanding that mind is spatially bigger than phenomena. Please keep in mind we're at the limit of what our minds can comprehend, and the language may not be as exact as some people would prefer. this is certainly something that we can sit with and contemplate for quite some time. The last compound here, also beginning with mano, mind, is MANOMAYA. Now, we've come across this word before, describing the Abhasara Devas, or the radiant gods, and it described them as mind-made, actually made out of mind. They were mental beings. Here, of course, we have the same word, but the meaning is quite different. Now the assertion is everything that we see is actually made by our minds. This is another concept that we can certainly sit with for quite some time. When the truth of this is, I hate to say understood, but when we start to feel the truth of this, it makes it easier to understand how magic might actually work in our world. So yes, there is a lot to contemplate in this first line. Next time, we will go over the next 2 lines of this verse, and we'll notice that even though we start from this somewhat abstract position, the Buddha immediately makes this very concrete and practical. By the way, if you're interested in some thinkers who are philosophically/scientifically minded, I would throw out the names Donald Hoffman and Bernardo Kastrup, and I will put a couple of links in the description.